Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to a Rising Star podcast. We are chilling out here in Northern California. It's 42 degrees outside. It's a couple of weeks before Christmas. And I'm sitting here with Carl and Quentin. Decided to grace us with his presence this morning. Thank you, Quentin, for that. And today, as usual, and I say the same thing all the time, we're going to do a movie review first. That's kind of our MO. We do a movie review. It could be an older movie, a movie that just came out, or maybe a movie that's going to come out in a few months. But today's movie is the Midnight Meat Train. And no, it's not one of those kind of meat trains, if you know what I'm talking about. And then we are going to, on our social media, like I tell you guys, you guys could always get a hold of us, email us, text us, instant message us, whatever. And I've been flooded with questions about the series that Carl and I are writing. Just as a precursor to this podcast, I cannot tell you the name of the series yet because we are in the process of getting everything finalized with, registering our scripts and our ideas and the name with the various entities, if you will. But I do have a list of 20 questions that people have asked, and those are going to be the questions that we go over, and then we'll talk about that. But first off, Carl's going to kick it off with the movie review.
What's up, guys? Midnight Meat Train, the 2008 version. I don't think there is another version actually. Directed by, I hope I get this right, Rahuhai Kitamura. I probably said it wrong. The story is by Clive Barker, and it is pretty awesome. I haven't seen it in a while. If you guys haven't seen it in a while, you might want to put it on your list. The Midnight Meat Train. It's very good. It stars Bradley Cooper, has Vinnie Jones, and Leslie Bibb in there. Just some of the actors in there. There's also some other bigger ones. But what it's about, basically, is it's when a photographer, Leon Kaufman, meets the owner of a famous art gallery, he sees a chance for a better life. Intent on showing the darker side of humanity for his debut showing, Leon crosses paths with Mahogany, a serial killer who preys on late-night subway travelers. His fascination with Mahogany lures him in, and his girlfriend, deep into an evil darker than either of them could have ever imagined. And that's just the overview of it. But the story is an intriguing one. The concept takes you on a roller coaster ride. It's like, just grabs you and pulls you in. It asks for your attention, and then you want to keep paying attention. It's pretty awesome, actually. The two characters give you a sense of realism of what it's like to be up against a serial killer, or what's in the presence of a serial killer. It's a little unnerving, but not too much because I'm used to that kind of thing. I really liked it. Bradley and Vinny's character, they are extraordinary together. They're both great actors, first of all. One of them is a stronger yielding force, while the other one's more passive. And you can see how those two coincide together and what their relationships are. And it focuses on the two relationships and then how the story develops. I don't want to give away too much. I'm just giving you an idea. It has a lot of violence and blood, so if you're not used to that sort of thing, you might want to watch the trailer and see if you can handle it, because it's super gruesome. And I'm okay with that because I'm a horror fan. I have no problem with blood. But if you do, maybe back off this one. And if you don't, go for it. It's a disturbing film, it's a slasher film, and it's a really good story. I guarantee you're going to want to sit through this whole thing and you want to know the entire story, because the ending you won't even see coming. It's like completely different than what you're being believed is going on. But like I said, I'm not going to give too much away. No spoiler alerts. But it's worth waiting the entire. Just go through the whole movie. You won't regret it. And the action in there and the characters are engaging enough. It's like it's a roller coaster ride, but it's also a little bit of a mystery, and you have to put the pieces of the puzzle together and try to solve it in a way, but you never will. Until the end, they'll tell you. The film was directed very well. It had an artistic quality to it. I felt like everything that they were doing, all the scenes they had, wasn't just to tell a story. It was also to give you a certain feel of how the story was developing and where the characters are at emotionally. That was like, it was almost like looking at an illustration in my mind. I don't know, you tell me, where you felt like you were going on a journey through, almost like you were going through like a comic book in a way. Maybe I'm crazy. You tell me what you think about that.
We're all a little crazy.
Yeah. It's a unique film. I've never seen anything like this before. Original story. It makes you think, how would you handle the situation if you were in that position? Would you have tried to do things differently? Or would it have even mattered if you did? Like, would the outcome ever change? Who knows? But you'll have to tell me. It's just a really good film. I enjoyed it from start to finish. I haven't seen it in a while. I've seen it in the past, but I forgot for some reason. And I'm glad I did, because when I watched it again, guys, I was like, that was epic. Like, just everything they did. The way they filmed it, the artistry of it, the stories, the characters. It was hard to want to look away, because you just want to know what's going on all the time. They're constantly asking questions. Definitely a good film, just to let you guys know. And in closing, it was sweet. It makes you curious, at least enough to want to keep going. And on that note, I will give the attention back to Glenn. And thanks for listening, guys.
Well, I love these movie reviews because we don't give away anything, but we still give them pieces of the pie that they could digest to give, a thought-provoking. But speaking of horror, we are on another. We're all on different platforms, but Carl introduced me to. Is it an app, Sora?
Yeah, Sora.
Sora, and we are on there. I'm not going to get into what Sora is and what we do on it, but if you want to follow me, I'm Glenn Spillman 13 on Sora. Quentin, what's your handle on Sora?
I go by the name Ogun, Ogun.
Okay. And what about Carl here?
I go by Carl O'Leary 1234. Real simple.
And we've got and if you want to see some of the videos that we put up, you could always go on our Facebook Seller 13 Films community. You can go to YouTube and search Carl O'Leary or Seller 13 Films. Quentin, do you have a YouTube channel?
I have 2 YouTube channels. You can go under Ogun Fortune Productions and also Access Entertainment.
All right. So, speaking of horror, Carl and I actually wrote a script. I don't know, it's a couple years ago, I guess, and it was a short film. It's called Thanks for the Ride, and I won't tell you what it's about or anything like that. But one day, Carl and I was talking on the phone, and Carl's like, you know what, man? We could turn that into a series, like dive into the backstory of the characters. And we had this long conversation, and lo and behold, we decided to make this a series. I cannot tell you the name of the series. I already told you that, but I will tell you this. It is of the horror genre, and it's in some episodes, to say the least, are pretty intense. And sometimes, Carl in his kindness says, maybe we should dial it. I know sometimes his girlfriend is like listening in the background, not like, intruding, but, like she's doing her own thing. And she's like, yeah, maybe you guys should, Carl's like, because some of my ideas are pretty outlandish. And one of them I'll talk about during the podcast. I won't give you the subject matter. I'll just kind of give you the tone of it. But I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out just to get it out of the way. You can follow me on Facebook, Glenn Spillman, Quentin Grizzly Bear Harris, Carl O'Leary. If you want to follow our film, collectively, Quentin has his production company. I've got mine, Cellar 13 Films. I'll put Quentin's link, Cellar 13 Films Community. I'll put Quentin's link on there. There's a lot of information on there. We post movies on there, videos that we do, articles that are on cellar13films.com that I write every single day that answers a lot of questions that we get. But let's dive right into this. The first question was, how did the series come about? Well, I just answered that question, actually, about, Carl giving me that phone call. So that's how it came about. He planted a seed in my brain, and during our conversation, we started talking about, what he goes, well, who is, I can say the name of the character, who is Dallas? And I'm like, well, Dallas is, and I give him a laundry list, and he goes, okay, and then who's, Lamont? And I kind of give him a laundry list of who Lamont is, and then he kind of painted me a picture of how the series can go, and then it just kind of clicked from there, and it went in each episode is between 30 and 40 minutes. We already have the first season done. The finale is like an hour and a half, so it's like an hour and a half on the finale. How many episodes per season is another question that someone asked. Well, there's 8. Because we talked about different numbers. If you watch, we'll just say the TV show Friends, they got like 24, 32 episodes per, and then different other shows. I was like looking at different series on like Netflix, or no, Paramount, like Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone. Tulsa King has 8 to 9 episodes per. Some of your reality shows have 8 to 12 episodes per. And so we kind of hit that sweet spot with 8, so that's what they are. And then someone else asked, how many seasons are you guys going to do? Well, right now we are in the 4th episode on season 2, and we have so many ideas that we've already filled up season 2, so there's definitely going to be a season 3. And Carl asked me that same question. I'm like, dude, we could make this into...
I was thinking that we could go from season 3 to season 6 if we wanted to.
Yeah. Because we have so many different ideas and little variations, and we're creating different things that when those seeds start growing, the writing starts flowing. And we really get a lot done, and we get it done pretty quickly. We just started this, what? October? September, October? So, and then another question is, how do you come up with your characters? Well, it's kind of easy. We had three main characters in the first script that I wrote, and we asked questions like, does Dallas have a girlfriend, a wife? Does he have any children? And this and that. So when we start going back and forth asking questions, we're like, oh, well, hey, this would be a good character. And then when we write another scene, we're like, well, let's bring in XYZ, and there's going to be 4 characters here. So coming up with characters is kind of easy for us, I think. Yeah. It really, really is. Carl's got a lot of great ideas, and he spits them at me. And I'm like, oh, dude, that sounds kind of cool. Let's do it. And how do you come up with character names? Carl and I do this all the time. I'm like, okay, research, like,
find out what sounds good to you.
Yeah.
And then, like, maybe people might prefer.
Right. And so one of the characters in there, well, I'll say this. A lot of the characters' names that are in this series are people that I've grown up with, went to school with, college with, worked with. I just use their first names. I don't use their last names. But like one day we were going, hey, what's a good name for a goth girl? And so we just did some research, and I did, dark names for a goth girl, and I just looked through a laundry list, and we discussed it, and we pick it. So that's kind of our process there. And another question is, do you do a backstory on all the characters? Absolutely we do. And we will spend, Carl and I think one day we talked, and I looked at the phone, I'm like, dude, we've been talking nonstop straight for 8 hours. So as long as it takes for the normal person to work a day from start to finish, we were on the phone doing backstories, and then when we do backstories, he's asking me, do they smoke? Do they drink? Do they, what are their hobbies? And so, but and like Quentin just said, you have to, because I give Carl a script, and I'm like, hey, I want you to play this character. So for Carl to understand, or Quentin, or anybody else who's going to play a character, well, who is this character? Where are they from? What do they do? Do they have any quirks about them? Do they have long hair, short hair? Are they black, white? How they walk? How they talk?
Twitches, whatever.
And Quentin, and I'm not saying anything malicious, but Quentin has a, what would you call?
ADD?
No, stutter.
Stutter.
So I said, Quentin, don't even worry about that. We could develop a character around, if you stutter, we can actually do that.
You've actually done that.
And and then Carl says, hey, what about, maybe Lamont and that, how about if he does this and that? I'm like, hey, that sounds good to me. So I give some of the actors a little bit of leeway as far as kind of adding their own spice on top of the character, Another question, what is the importance of character backstory? Well, I kind of just went over that because it it just gives the actors more of a recipe, if you will. If I just say, hey, make me a chocolate cake, and they're like, do you want dark chocolate, white chocolate? Do you want German chocolate cake? Do you like nuts? And so I answer all those questions for them. I give them a full recipe, being the backstory of the character. And we have pages and pages and pages of backstories for these characters. Another question that came in, how do you pick locations? Well, Carl has awesome ideas, but I was like, well, bro, we have to kind of narrow down certain locations because
don't have the budget for it.
Yeah, we don't have the budget for it, for one. Is that kind of location even around us? Like, we wanted one location that he mentioned that involved acreage, if you will. I'll just say that. But it was acreage within a home, with a large acreage behind it. So we're thinking, well, is there anything like that exist around here?
Yeah, and a mansion.
Yeah, in a mansion. So the mansion part we could find, but the big ass backyard that we need, maybe we couldn't find that. So, but that's things that we could, with filming, you could manipulate in filming to make it look like it's part of the house. Yeah. And that's what we talk about. And this kind of rolls into, someone asks, how do you budget the series? Carl and I budget it as we write. So we're like, you know what? And we write it in two ways. So Carl says, okay, I want this scene, and this is the way it'll be really cool. And I'm like, that is an awesome scene, but for the sake of math, we'll just say that's going to cost $10,000. But we write it for the scene as we only have, no money up to whatever, that we could pick a scene around here. So you budget, but Carl and I also discussed, if you get the money for the series, then we're going to go with the first idea.
Yeah,
And
it's
if
funny too because I'll be telling you of these ideas. I'll be like, "Oh, what if what if they were behind this mansion on this big acreage and they were just fighting it out and had this big ass battle?" He's like, "Okay, well, first of all, we're gonna need a place that has these things. So we're gonna need a mansion. We're gonna need this." I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's cool." And what if we had a mask for Michael Myers, and then we had we got to buy the mask,
Right.
we got to have the knives. What if we had this giant explosion go off? Okay, so we need special effects. He goes right through the minute I mention something that involves money. It's the first thing he'll go to.
Yeah.
Is the money situation. Well, actually, this is what we're gonna need, and then he'll start looking it up, which I've never really seen that before. But it's it's necessary because then you're creating a budget, and it might be something you want to do.
Yeah.
One
So
guy tells ideas, the other guy goes, "Okay, well, let's see how much is that going to cost."
right.
That's basically what Glenn was doing.
And it doesn't have to be like big budget, but I mean, we could create an explosion, but it might cost us in supplies, well, say $200.
Yeah.
So we just write that in the budget plan. So all things are doable, but we just have to formulate. But we budget as we go along, and then when we're done, we'll go through everything step by step and piece together what we need. Someone asked, how long is each episode? I went through that, between 30 and 45 minutes. How hard is it when two people are writing together? Well, this is what...
Extremely hard.
I don't think it's extremely hard at all.
My bad, not
conflict
extremely hard.
of ideas sometimes, but you
Yeah.
just work it out.
So Carl and I... Now, Carl did do this to me about a month ago. When I'm explaining something to somebody, I tend to go in... Because, see, I was in the military, so when I reported to my CO said, I want step by step by step, give me the story so I understand. So when I'm painting a picture for Carl, I go into this big ass loop to get to one point, and it takes me 20 minutes. So one day he was like, I just need you to get to the point, because my mind works in, I need the point in like 15 seconds, or else I'm going to get sidetracked and I'm going to just kind of go off in Neverland. And that wasn't a conflict. It was like, bro, I mean, I've known Carl for, I think, 9-10 years now. And that was the first time he ever said anything. And I never knew. So in any relationship, if the other person doesn't know what they're doing is, I don't want to say the word wrong, but say maybe not their communication style, it's okay to let them know. And I wasn't mad or anything like that. But sometimes when I come up with ideas, I'm like, just let me finish my idea, and then you can. And he's like, well, dude, that's kind of stepping into a realm. And one scene that I wanted to do involved a certain, can I say?
Yeah.
I'll just say the word, a religious sect. And he's like, yeah, we probably don't want to dive into that because it's going to send a completely different message than what we're trying to do. And we talked it out for, I think, 45 minutes. And then when he saw my point of view, I saw his point of view. We came to a consensus. We kind of drove around the problem areas, and we took off pieces that would have been, I think, offensive, I guess, is a lack of a better word, to some people, or to a lot of people, actually. Even in the horror realm, they would have been like, yeah, okay. So he kind of talks me down, and he does it. He doesn't, do it in a malicious way, but he's like, okay, just listen to what I have to say. And I do. And back and forth. I don't think it's hard at all. Now, do we ever come to a impasse to where we got to compromise? Absolutely. But we compromise. That's the word, compromise. It's not my way. It's not his way.
You gotta be willing to collaborate.
Yeah, that's the whole point, collaboration.
Yeah.
Now, if you start getting 3, 4, 5 people collaborating, that might be a different story. But because see, there are some people that don't like, they like horror, but they like campy horror. They don't like slasher horror.
Yeah.
They might like dark humor, but they don't like, like when Jason picks up the girl in the sleeping bag and bashes her head up against a tree.
Oh my
Some
God.
people may not like that, but I'm
That
like, well,
traumatized me.
how do you like horror if you don't,
I love that.
So, but it is not hard to write. Now, I will say this, because Quentin said immediately, oh, yes, it is. So that leads me to believe that he's worked with some people that are hard to work with, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Then those people, you just don't work with them, period.
Yeah.
The next question I just kind of answered, is there any conflict? No, there's no conflict. We are adults. Carl's an adult, I'm an adult, Quentin is an adult.
I just look like an adult.
And the in-studio guest today, my daughter Willow, she's not an adult. She's 7. But she
She's
but I digress. No, there's no conflict. I mean, we work together very well. I really think we do, because we flow well, we
Yeah.
communicate well, and it's never, screw that idea, we're not going to do it. It's never that. It's and I always tell Carl this. It's like making a cake.
Mm-hmm.
I say it all the time. You have your basic ingredients for cake: flour, oil, eggs, and the other ingredients that goes along. And how you build that cake with each other is, hey, we're going to put a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then at the end you have a completed cake. And then someone else said, how well do you guys collaborate? I just answered that. Another one is, who comes up with the ideas? We both do. Like, he'll text me. He's like, oh, dude, I got an idea for a certain... I'm not going to say it, but I'll just say a certain type of people. And then he'll come up, and then I will like, okay... how are we going to do, maybe the makeup? And he comes up with this location that he would love to do. And I'm like, if we can get this budget, abso-freaking-lutely. But if we don't, then we'll go this way. So we both come up with the ideas. Someone says, how long does it take to write an episode? Well, it varies. I mean, one time we were on the phone for hours, and we actually wrote like 2 episodes.
It depends on the conflict and how well things are moving.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really what. If you have kids that are going crazy,
Like mine,
it's gonna
yeah.
be harder to do what you need to do. Or if you have relationships that are intervening, then that's going to take more time to deal with. Or if you're just having writer's block, which happens,
Yeah.
then you're going to have issues trying to come up with stuff. So it just depends on how well things are flowing and how the circumstances are.
Absolutely. It's like Carl mentioned kids. I got 2 kids. My daughter Willow's 7. My son Finnegan is 8. He's going to be 9 Christmas Eve. And they're in the background playing Minecraft and arguing with each other. And I'm like, guys, stop it. And
Hysterical. By the way.
and we get kind of distracted a little bit. Or if it's dinner time, Carl's girlfriend's like, hey, what do you want for dinner? Do you want cheese on that? Do you want this on that? And it's not a bad thing. It's just a minor where our thoughts kind of go out the window a little bit, and then we circle back real quick. So it like Carl said, it kind of varies. Someone asks, how intense is your series? I'll let Carl answer that one.
It's like a roller coaster ride. It goes up and down. There's no real. It's not always intense, but it gets pretty intense at times, and other times it has calming moments where it's just very relaxed, and then it'll just pick up again. It goes up and down.
And there's even a little bit of comedy thrown in there.
There's a lot of levity in there too. It's a mix. I think it's a great mix to tell the story of those characters and just to understand the world of every character within the series.
Yeah.
And you get pretty much just about everything you could possibly want from a series. I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
Because it has a little bit of everything in there.
Absolutely,
It has
it does.
drama, has comedy, has violence, has action. It has great special effects. Well, if we can afford it, that is.
Right.
I better say that.
Yeah.
It has good story. It has interesting characters, very developed. has a lot. It has a lot to offer. So, it definitely has a lot to bring to the table, and it goes all over the place.
Right, absolutely. There's about 3 more questions, folks. The next one is, how many characters do you have? Well, we started out with 3. Now there's like 30. And we come up...
And developing.
and they're developing. And there's one scene with these certain types of people that we have that there's like 15, 20 of them, but there'll be 2 or 3 speaking roles. The rest of them are, background actors and whatnot. But as far as speaking characters, I would say at least 30. A lot of them are recurring actors. And the next question is, how far is too far? Well, it depends on the type of horror that you're doing, but...
Not sticking to the material.
Yeah, if you don't stick to the material and go off, maybe in left field a little bit, because when Carl and I had the discussion, he's like, what does this have to do with our series? And I'm like, well, technically nothing. But it's just... So when we talked, I'm like, yeah, we could probably throw that out the window. And I've got no problem doing that because my mind and his mind is the same. We have so many ideas in our brain that we're just throwing stuff out there. And sometimes I go to the dark side quite a bit. And he's got to reel me in and be like, okay, Darth Vader, you need to come back to us for a little bit.
It's hysterical because he'll throw me off guard sometimes. Some of the things he comes up with, I'm like, oh my god, all right, so we're going there. All right, yeah, sure, let's do it.
So the 2 questions left. How do you plan to fund your series? Well, and I'm going to actually, I did an article kind of on that, but basically like we always do, we're going to talk to friends and family. We're going to do a GoFundMe. We're going to do an Indiegogo. We're going to promote that. And people from all over the world is going to see that. And we're going to go to other people that have funded films that I've done before. And so that's how we're going to do that. And then lastly, when will the series begin principal photography? We haven't really we kind of discussed, we wanted a couple seasons done first, so when we start doing episodes, we could roll them out, and we already have some in the back that we could do, so we're not scrambling, oh my god, we need to write real quick. Some shows do that. That's how they fail. They don't prepare properly. But it's all going to be filmed outside or inside in surrounding areas of Sacramento, California, Roseville, Rockland, Placerville, Nevada City, stuff like that. Orangevale even. And Carl doesn't know this yet, but one of our locations, I could say this, it's not giving anything away, is a bar. So I got the bar, and it's like, yeah, use my thing.
Cool.
So we've already got one location. It's free. We don't have to pay for it. That's how you help budget your film. If you can get free stuff, that's another podcast for another day. I appreciate everybody listening. And again, you could follow us on Facebook, Cellar 13 Films Community, a Rising Star podcast. If you go to cellar13films.com later on today, maybe tomorrow, I'm going to have, this is our 4th episode. I'm going to have the previous podcast on there. They're going to be on YouTube, so there's going to be like a picture, a static picture. I might have movement, but you'll be able to listen to it because on websites you can't just pop up a podcast if you don't have the proper, ability to do so. But anyway, I thank you guys for listening. My daughter's getting a little impatient. She's hungry, so she's pointing towards her mouth. So I better feed her, because she's like a feral cat if I don't. Any last words, Quentin, that you want to say to anybody out there in cyber world?
If you have a goal, go for it. And don't be, in the words of Blade, if you're scared, just use it.
All right, Carl.
I would say be persistent and never give up. Just keep going forward. No matter what people tell you, don't let that define you. Define yourself.
Exactly. I don't have too much to add to that, except, you know what? Never quit. If you don't have $1, you could still make a movie. So that's another podcast for another day. Thanks for listening. Peace out, guys. And if we don't do another podcast before Christmas, Merry Christmas.
I holla.
See you guys later.